I'm a progressive, democratic socialist, so to speak. I'm more extreme to the left as far as like a Bernie Sanders. The Nancy Pelosi, the Chuck Schumers are a little bit too salty and cracker for me, a little too dry. That's not my level of politics. I'm a progressive through and through. So you're going to get obviously some facts and some opinions here, right? My opinions are going to always lean left, right? It's going to always lean progressive. So hopefully you'll be all right with that. And if you're not all right with that, still hang out and then just hate. It's okay. The space is available for that.
Okay, black, 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 black on black, black, my thoughts so black, 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 I'm black, my skin is so black, I'm rocking that black on black is.
Welcome everyone to the Pod Wire Podcast Show. It's the first of many to come. I want to kind of give a little brief breakdown of who I am and what I intend to bring to this space. I'm into politics, obviously. I'm into social issues. I'm into sports. Plethora of things I would like to cover. Hell, I'm a WWE wrestling fan. So music, all sorts of things. You know, nothing's really off limit. It's the way I want to kind of approach everything. I want to first talk about, the first issue is obviously the elections took place, right? So obviously we have Donald Trump as our president. It's going to be number 47 again. So we're going to go through another Trump presidency. I kind of want to give a little breakdown of the way the election went. And I know a lot of people are going to say, oh man, there it is, it's the identity politics and all this BS. Listen, politics is always about identity politics, okay? So let's speak to it. Ever since, and this is a little history, and check it, reference it. Don't just accept everything talking heads in front of a camera say, myself included. But I'm going to tell you the facts. When it comes down to it, ever since we had the Southern strategy, there was like a big transition where the Democratic Party swapped ideologies with the Republican Party. Because I know a lot of Republicans are going to say, well, the Democrats are the party of the Ku Klux Klan. Yes, they were, right? And they were known as Dixiecrats. But during the Lyndon B. Johnson era, as far as the president, happened when he invoked a lot of the civil rights acts that we have to this very day. It made a lot of white men upset, so they started to flip party lines. They left the Democratic Party. They flowed to the Republican Party because the Republican Party, which used to be the party of inclusiveness, decided that they were going to say, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to go after the white racist vote. And then the Democrats said, we're going to start leaning away from the white racist vote, and we're going to start being more inclusive and allowing people of color to be part of it. So that was called the Southern strategy, and it was a swap of ideology. So when people try to shame you and say, oh, this is what the Democratic Party was, they were the racist party, they were once upon a time, but that Democratic Party is not today's Democratic Party. Just like the Republican Party of today, it's not yesterday's Republican Party. So don't let nobody trick you, fool you, or shame you into thinking that you should leave the Democratic Party, because that is utterly ridiculous, right? So ever since B. Johnson, the president, ever since him moving forward, every Democratic president that existed, they never won the white men vote, right? Never. Bill Clinton, Obama, never, ever won the white men's vote. So it's been a lot of years, well over, my math, homies, maybe that's almost by, 70, 80 years, ever since white men has actually been part of electing a Democratic president. They pretty much abandoned the party. So when they voted along the lines of 39% for Kamala, there should have been no big, great surprise there. Those numbers might have swapped even a little lower from Biden. I don't really remember what the numbers were for Biden. It might have been somewhere around 42%. Maybe it's like a 3% swing. But still marginal, nothing to be concerned about. They did what they typically do. White women are sometimes, they're in and out, they play footsies. I would have really thought that they would have stepped up and showed out a little bit better. Because like I said prior, is that, abortion was on the ballot, and you would have thought that you would have wanted to consider yourselves as far as having your rights. I mean, literally the Republican Party right now is trying to recreate the Handmaid's Tale story. You know what I'm saying? That's literally what they want. They want to have it where they control women's bodies, women's mind. You got Republicans, people on the right talking about women shouldn't even have the right to vote. So that just tells you how ridiculous it is. So now, as far as in the fallout, we're getting a lot of breakdown, and we got a lot of people on the left pointing fingers about what happened, why it happened. And I want to first start off and preface with saying this. I'm not blaming Kamala. She had about 100 or so days. She was kind of thrown into this race, and she did the best she could do, right? Ultimately. But there's a lot of blame to go around. Listen, I wasn't a person that wanted Biden to be president, right? I wanted Bernie Sanders to be president, right? But because I couldn't get the guy that I wanted, I voted for the guy that should, the second best choice, obviously. So that was Biden, because I was obviously not going to vote Republican. And Biden surprised me. Biden, his presidency is actually, he's been the most progressive president ever since Franklin Delano Roosevelt. So kudos to him. He surprised me. He shocked me. He did a lot of progressive things when it came to the labor movement and stuff, and I applaud him for that. So he was a very big surprise. He also put the first black Supreme Court justice, that we've ever had, and that was important, And kudos to him, and I thank him for that. But this is where the praises and the flowers end. Biden, I felt that in your third year of your term is when you should have had made mention again and said, hey guys, remember what I said? I was going to be a transitional president. And then, so get yourselves set up, for another person, and as far as, being primary to come out of the left and get ready to vote. So we could have had a very good primary, right? We could have had, then we could have seen if Kamala would have survived that dogfight and came out, she would have been a stronger candidate, or whoever would have came out of that primary. But we didn't have the benefit of that, and that hurt us. And I think that's because Biden hung around too long, and I think that he started to maybe feel himself a little bit, and I don't know, maybe the assistance of his wife there too. She was probably telling him, hey, look, you know what, you're the steady hand, and maybe we could beat Trump again. We're the only ones that beat Trump, so he might have smelled himself and said, yeah, I think I could do this. And then they pushed him out during the debate, and unfortunately, he looked like a fossil, and we all were wearing the cake on our face behind that. And then ultimately, there was a big fallout, and then they had to get rid of him. It was losing a lot of support, a lot of money, and then thus we had Kamala. So I don't blame her, per se, right? She did everything that she was able to do. But there's more blame to go around. I feel that now, ultimately, her campaign, which was the same campaign that was working for Biden, she inherited it, obviously. She didn't have time to build her own campaign and start from the ground up. So obviously she had to drive the vehicle that was there, right? And that vehicle, I feel that they didn't understand the temperature of the room, so to speak, right? So they continued on with this traditional way of doing politics. And they just catered to legacy media, right? That's the CNNs, the MSNBCs, the Fox, and whatnot. And I think that's where the problem is, because the dynamics of the voting has changed, right? Politics, in a sense, have changed, right? It's not the same of what it was. They were playing 90s politics in 2024, I feel, to a degree. So as much time as you spent on the CNNs or the MSNBCs and even Fox, you could have spent equally as much time at other podcast shows, such as, Joe Budden's podcast, something along those lines. I think that she should have had spent more time coming to new media than what she did. And that's where a fatal flaw was at. Because you saw Donald Trump going to, any podcaster that was willing to hear him and not give him any pushback, he was there. Even going to the Joe Rogan show and everything. And that show, it made him feel like he's the fresh candidate. He's the candidate of change. He was more relatable to this new generation of voters, these low information voters, so to speak. And I feel that Kamala's came off as her campaign came off as too highbrow, and I think she needed to kind of come down from the highbrow and somewhere meet in the middle. So hopefully, we got to prepare for the midterm 2 years from now. That's where the battlegrounds is going to be fought, right? That's where we got to literally change the way we do our politics. So hopefully that would happen. And there's been also a lot of people screaming about, oh, well, maybe there was too much identity politics we played and and this was problematic and wokeism and so forth. Listen, nonsense. I'm a person that's going to tell you right from the gate. I don't subscribe to when people talk about wokeism. That's complete BS, right? Wokeism is something that they hijacked and they literally changed the meaning of what wokeism was about, right? So they affiliate everything with wokeism. If you eat too much goddamn cheesecake, they say it's fucking wokeism. It's bullshit. We know what wokeism was initially about. It was about, hey, be very aware. You, as a person of color or an oppressed individual, the government is on your neck, so to speak. So always be aware of the racism that may fall upon you. That's all wokeism is in a nutshell. But they just all of a sudden made it this boogeyman, you know, that it's all of these things. It's literally trying to change the way America is and so forth, and they fooled a lot of people. So they'll just, it's a buzz fucking word. You know what I'm saying? And they use it to try to whip folks with it. And then we have people on the left that literally buy into the hijacking of the word. And that's what I don't necessarily like. If the word means this, how do you let the right come and hijack the word and tell you this is the new definition of the word, and then you play along in their fucking game and then start acting like that is the definition of the word? Then sad day for you. So that's what I hate about these milquetoast, moderate, weak Democrats that exist. We play into their game, you know. Even, you know, Michelle Obama, I love her, and she did a lot during the campaign, and kudos to her, hats off. But I never get off when she says when they go low, we go high. No, when they go low, we kick them in the nuts. That's where I'm at with it. But ultimately, I feel that a lot of folks are now walking away saying that, okay, we lost, and we lost big, right? So it leaves this feeling that maybe our message was wrong, right, ultimately. And I want to remind people on the left, just because the person we voted for didn't win the election, that we were wrong. And I just want to speak to that, because that is not the case. When you look back historically, in Germany during the 30s, the Nazi Party eventually took over, right? And they became the leading party, the Socialist Party movement in Germany. And it seemed as if they were on the right side of history. That's aged like milk, obviously, because we've seen what happened with that, right? So the winning party doesn't always mean it's the right party that won. So we have to remember that. There's going to be a lot of messaging that's going to be sent to us, towards us, where they're going to try to gaslight us and tell us that obviously we had the wrong message because our candidate didn't win. Don't fall for the bait and switch, okay? We were right. Our only issue was we didn't do good enough job in exciting our base, getting our base out there to vote. The right was very good at their messaging. They pushed and promote all their lies. And unfortunately, we live in a society that if you say a lie enough times, people start thinking it's the truth, right? So we got to be very conscientious of that. We have to aggressively call out them as liars, take them to task. We don't do that. We're too fucking agreeable. Stop being so agreeable. When someone's fucking wrong and saying evil, malicious, bigoted shit, say that's evil, vicious, malicious, bigoted shit. Call it out. Don't make room for it that says, well, okay, let's try to find common ground. There is no fucking common ground when you're debating a fucking Nazi, okay? We don't negotiate with Nazis, we kill them, right? But I want to talk about ultimately where we should end this particular situation with the next 2 years coming up. We have to change the way we move, the way we talk. We got to become far more aggressive. We have to push out more podcasters out here, get more people in this space talking the leftist ideology. Because unfortunately, I don't think a lot of people understand what the leftist messaging is, right? Because we literally have people that are just getting into politics and they're saying, oh, we want someone that's going to be the speaker of the people, of the common Joe, of the working man. We are that party. But you guys got fooled, and the Republicans came and said, no, we're that party. And there is no statistics or data to even prove that, and y'all just bought it, right? You got conned by a con man, unfortunately. And we're all going to suffer a bit for it. And for all those people who knowingly did this, just wait till the leopards eat your face. But that's where I leave off at. There's going to be a lot more, obviously, I'm going to speak about with the situation as far as the elections and the fallout from it. But I want to kind of segue into another particular issue that was going on that just took place in Texas. It says Texas has recently made several changes to its school curriculum. These are the things that it included. Bible references. The Texas Education Agency added biblical stories to the curriculum while removing references to other religions such as Buddhism, Hinduism, Judaism, and the Islamic prophet Muhammad. Some say the curriculum is preaching rather than teaching. As far as social studies, the state added civics components to social study standards such as understanding the founding documents, civics engagement, and an appreciation of the United States. So, okay, one, as far as now they're starting to include the Bible into public school. Now, I'm a Christian man, grew up Christian, and I get it. And I know just off the knee-jerk reaction with folks is that, oh, well, this is great. We're going to put God into school again. You know, this is going to be a good thing. Where's the negative at? No, this is really bad. We are supposed to have a separation of church and state. And we got to understand when you're dealing with public schools, that's tax funded. That means that's of us, the fucking people. And we need to follow the Constitution when it comes that there should be a separation of these two things. So put your religion aside when it comes to public policy, right? How do you figure that that's okay that you may now have a student that's being raised as in the Islamic faith, and now he's being forced to hear Christian Bible stories? It's not right, it's not fair. And the fact that he may not be able to engage in it, the kid's going to be ostracized. We're creating a very negative space here. This is not where that's supposed to be at, right? Then we're going to start leading ourselves into where it's going to start flowing into science, obviously. Then we're going to start getting into the creationalist, theory that's pushed out there. That's obviously been proven to be bullshit. You know what I'm saying? Because they want to ignore evolution. Like this thing never happened. Like animals didn't evolve and so forth. And when you start doing like that and you start changing the way things are taught science-wise, it gets dangerous. Keep your religion at home. Don't bring it to public schools. If you want your student, if you want your kid to learn those sort of things, there's parochial schools. There's a lot of schools out there, Catholic schools where you could go get your religious fix, right? But not on my taxpayer dime. Fuck that. When it comes to, as far as schooling, when it comes to things of religion, I'd rather it not be taught in school. That's what we have churches and mosques and synagogues for. Guys, wake the fuck up. Now, as far as what they were talking about the social studies, they said they want to increase understanding of founding documents, which I'm all good with, right? That's a good thing. Civics engagement, which is great, right? Because there's a literacy problem when it comes to civics in this country. So I'm on board with that. And it says in an appreciation of the United States. Okay, that's where I have the issue at. And you're gonna probably say, Bob, why? Why do you have an issue with appreciating the United States? It's because one is propagandizing, right? It's going to make it seem it's basically MAGA on the low. They're going to be filtering into our kids to say that America has been this pristine capital in the world that's always been morally right. No, we have to understand history, social studies as the way it was intended, as the way it happened. Let's not whitewash any of this stuff and all of a sudden, do this revisionist, remix of what took place. We already had the talking points where in Florida they were saying that they didn't want to use the term slaves. They want to say, maybe forced labor or whatever, something like that. They're trying to whitewash the word. Let's keep it as it is. You can love America, but you have to also understand as much good as America did is equally done far more evil. And that's okay. That's taken place in all countries, in all empires that has existed, right? So don't propagandize our kids into making it seem like America is this great place where no evil has taken place. So I'm going to move on. I want to talk about what took place at Capitol Hill, where we had my girl, your girl, Representative Jamie Crockett, Texas Congresswoman. Strong, strong sister. I love her. I appreciate her. She's out there in the mud right now. She's getting it out the mud and she's throwing bows. Big respect to her. Representative Jasmine Crockett didn't hold back when speaking about oppression in America during a DEI hearing on the House floor. On Wednesday, November 20th, Crockett sent the clear message that white men in America has never been oppressed during the House Oversight Committee hearing on the dismantling of the DEI Act. The GOP-sponsored bill would eliminate all federal DEI office and programs. Crockett called out her Republican colleagues for labeling themselves as oppressed due to DEI. She described the redefinition of the word oppression as nails on a chalkboard. It seems like you don't understand the definition of oppression, and I ask you to just refer to Google to help you out, Crockett said. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country, Crockett said. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them was dragged across an ocean and told they were going to work, have their wives stolen, have their wives raped. That is oppression. We need to return to listening to the experts, getting out of our feelings and recognizing that racism is real. Crockett added, pretending it's not will prevent us from solving the problem we face and achieving the unity required for a more perfect union. Please let that sister come to the front of the congregation so we can give her all the flowers. She's out there fighting in the trenches. She's calling it out. We've been sitting here, and I'm speaking to everyone on the left now. I'm speaking to the leftists. We sit here, and we've been humanizing this evil rhetoric coming from white men, suggesting that they have been oppressed by DEI that has existed in this country. I want to talk about that DEI Act. The dismantling of the DEI Act. The DEI Act was allowing people from all different race, religions, or whatever that have the certain qualifications to be able to be mandated to some of these positions and offices when it comes to employment. It also played a part with any contractor that was working for federal government or whatever, that they would have to be a certain amount of people of color, obviously having the credentials, because they like to make it seem like, oh, they just grab just Joe Blow Jerome off the fucking street and say, hey, you know what, you come down with us. No, you have to still meet the regular requirements, but now they're allotting to say that you have to have a certain amount of diversity included into the workforce, even if you're a subcontractor to a federal job. So I'm gonna speak about it as far as me. I'm in construction, I'm an electrician, right? So if I'm working in a federal building, there would have to be a certain amount of people of color or even of sex. So that includes women, all women were included into the Diversity Act, where they would have to be allowed to have certain jobs and certain positions. Opposite of that means that they could just go back to their old ways, the good old boy network, where it's just pretty much dominated by white men on the jobs, all jobs. And I don't know how something like that could be beneficial or helpful to any of us as Americans, other than just those folks who just don't like democracy. There's a lot of scary things that are trickling down the pipeline that's coming towards us. I'm not gonna say for you to just stare in the face of it and shake and shudder and run away. No, we gotta run towards it, right? So we gotta be like firemen. People see fire, they wanna run in the opposite direction of the fire. We gotta run to the fucking fire. We gotta meet it where it's at and we gotta put it out. And that's something that we're gonna have to get ourselves, wrap our heads around and say, this is what we're gonna do. these are just a few of the things that's been going on. There's a lot more that's going to be coming down the pipeline that I want to definitely talk about. But I do appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to the show. Once again, please subscribe, please like. I want to grow this platform, this channel, and I'm always here to hear your opinions on how we can improve it. And I'm going to do my best to just speak the truth, not try to just say what I think folks would want to say. I'm not here to just create clickbait. I'm here to have real conversation and have real meaning, have real effect on people. So on that note, everybody have a good day, and I'll definitely see you for the next episode. Peace.